Welcome to today's YouTube. Channel. Today we're going to talk a bit more about what's going to happen. The bits and pieces of it. Firstly, EU just meet on Friday for the fifth and okay. Okay. EU just meet on Friday for the fifth and possible last European Council signed by Euro Conference. Since coronavirus outbreak, European Council President Charles Michel accepted a much rotation letter to EU leaders. Our meeting Friday should be a crucial meeting stopping stone towards an agreement at a subsequent political meeting. Just as the EU negotiations have suffered from a lack of face-to-face contact, physical diplomacy is widely recognised in Brussels as important in bringing about a compromise here too. As with all EU summits, there's been a build-up of major interest in the run-up, prioritizing tensions and divisions between member states. But look below the surface and a couple of things are clear. They're not divided on anything, and they're not incredibly divided on anything. Mr. Merkel said EU leaders are already near consensus on several issues, including on the need for some central EU-level response in the crisis, financed by the European Commission borrowing of financial markets. That the MIF recovery plan should form part of the same package, and that response should also address the EU's digital and climate priorities. Nevertheless, big questions about the recovery fund remain unsolved. How much? For how long? In what form? Who gets it? How do they get it? What has it funded? All this needs to be agreed about, not necessarily at this meeting. There are, broadly speaking, two camps in the debate. Those pointing or at least accepting the general idea of the common proposal, but in the federal four: Austria, Denmark, Netherlands, and Sweden, plus Finland. First camp crucially has the backing of France and Germany, on whose joint initiative Commission proposal was partly based. There also varying degrees of realism and support in this camp. But none is likely to present a major obstacle to the deal. The same cannot be said of the Federal Four, plus Finland. He opposed some of the basic principles of the Commission proposal about there being more destructive than is often portrayed. For all the disagreements, they basically come down to three main issues. The first is loans versus grants in the recovery fund. Several months ago, there was a full debate between EU governments about sharing debt known as corona bonds. The recovery fund proposal is not used at this term, but British come pretty close to the idea. Commission will fund the recovery plan by issuing bond debt on financial markets, 2/3 of which will be fund loans to member states as grants, which do not require repayment. The debt would then be repaid by common EU funds. some sources of which the Commonwealth wants to expand. Federals believe allocating funds to only be given to member states as loans, with qualifying conditions to ensure long funds use efficiently. The more high indebted member states argue this simple burdens them with more debt and would only delay the recovery and leave them vulnerable to interest rate rises. The final words would probably be a combination of the two, but it is unclear what the ratio would be, whether 2.1 as proposed or something less. The second area of disagreement is over what is called the own resources ceiling in the MFF. This is the legal maximum of the amount of money that the EU can raise in a budget period. Currently, this is set at 1.2% of the EU economy. It allows space to raise money for the recovery fund. The Commission proposals for less than the ceiling 2% in theory, it would only be temporary, until the debt has been repaid. However, given that repayments could run until 2028, it stretches to an extreme definition of temporary. Needless to say, the Federals are sceptical, and the Dutch government has said it is critical of the proposal, and the amount of the increase will ask for further clarification of it. We're concerned about the size of the increase in the ceiling rather than the principle probably hints at some compromise being available between 1.4% and 2%. The third main area of this agreement is over new source of funding in the EU budget to pay the debt from the Recovery Fund. The Commission suggested 4 new sources on top of those who fund e-copying and plastic taxes, extended the emissions trading system, a certain tax on imports, a single market and even a digital tax. They will be expected to bring around $20 million per year, which the Commission argues will be significant to cover debt repayments for a recovery plan. The three groups are written to agree on all such new funding sources. The Netherlands, for example, has expressed a sentence on new climate-related funding sources while assisting EU-level tax more generally. Main issues of this agreement fall comfortably in the scope of ordinary MFF negotiations. The size of that budget, its distribution, and sources of EU funding were over-present features. What is now is the idea of Commission borrowing on such scale to distribute grants. The current MFF is roughly $160 billion per year, whereas the Recovery Fund, where resources can only use utilized in the first 4 years, 2021-24, could average $190 billion per year in those 4 years. Depending on how much member states utilize it is an essential intervention. The funding gap left by the UK is also an issue. However, the Brexit role has been overshadowed by a response to COVID.
Where you want that, Josh? Keep it safe.
The UK's net contribution was around $7 billion being over a 7-year budget cycle. The Recovery Fund for spending up to $750 being the first 3 years alone, more than 10 times the UK contribution. Thus, correct on checks has made it somewhat of a secondary issue. But UK's exit has also created opportunities. Logically, it is possible, and some such as in the one deemed almost metal, the Recovery Fund proposal, and certainly of its proposal shape and size, will not have the that is a lie. But that current proposal and currently its proposal aside, not have reached conception that the UK still being a member state. The UK almost certainly have agreed with the acknowledgement of the Freedom 4 and all likelihood gone even further. Remember seeing just months after the UK's fruition of a major EU policy that would have been impossible had the UK not left. Thank you.